I'm Corbett Wall with DV Auction, here with your feeder flash for Wednesday, December the 5th, where I'm out here in northern Missouri running around going to some sales and seeing some buyers and some market men that I haven't seen for quite a long time, and sale barn owners. I was able to go to Callaway Livestock there east of Columbia on Monday, Kingsville Livestock Auction on Tuesday, and good sales both places. The market was a little tougher on Monday than it was on Tuesday because of the recovery from the weather, especially in Nebraska where they had some big snows up there in some major feedlot country, and they dug out from most of that on Monday, and there was a few more orders around on Tuesday than there was Monday, and some recovery there, and then of course the board was better, so that helped things too. Looking forward to going to St. Joe Stockyard, seeing a lot of old friends. Got 3,500 head on Wednesday there at the old stockyards in St. Joe. But midweek recovery, the board finally showed some strength there on fat cattle, and not so much on feeder cattle. Been tough on feeder cattle all week, but of course the cash market's been tough too. But seems like maybe the guys are finally thinking that maybe there's enough positive fundamentals out there that maybe they can throw a little weight into the fat cattle arena there. But look at the board on Tuesday. December live cattle futures up 90 cents to end the day at 117.75. February was up $1.47 at 121.65. January feeder cattle down just a dime, which is a gift, at 144.40, and March up 40 cents at 141.85. Your fat cattle trade has been very, very limited, which is good because it's going to be a tough week this week, but very, very few sales. Had a slightly larger show list than we had last week, and that was a bit of a surprise. But you were looking at a steady market right now. The few sales we have, and give them credit, there hasn't been a whole lot, just a few hundred head sold in Iowa, 116 and 183, and that's at least steady, so that's good. And then we've seen this this Tuesday support on the board, unless it completely falls out of bed. We're looking at a steady market at least this week, but we're not going to be probably too favorable going into the rest of the month because of Christmas. We're going to have abbreviated kills, and not expecting a huge kill next week as we start the downhill slide. They bought a lot of cattle last week, and are going to have a lot of cattle to get them through the rest of the year. Now, if things stay as good as they are right now, we could see some positive indicators and on the board, and we could see a move up on your fat cattle trade right after Christmas to get ready to start the new year. They usually get real aggressive and want to fill their coffers there to get started on the new year. So if we don't gain any ground this week, which we should at least stay steady, but we can look forward to the week after Christmas. But whatever we get this week will probably carry on through the rest of the year. Box beef cutout values have been mostly steady, but we did see earlier in the week that we had a good clean out last week, and a huge movement and a healthy showing there on our box beef clearance. Slaughter has been pretty heavy so far this week. Of course, we're expecting that, and of course we always have a heavy slaughter this week every year, and we did last week, or last year, but we're keeping up with that. Let's look at your feeder cattle markets. Real-time index on Cattle Market Central late on Tuesday sitting at 143.20, down 69 cents, not too awful bad compared to Monday's close. Your big sale that we've kind of talked about all this week, OKC West in El Reno, Oklahoma. Of course, the government market report was not out late on Tuesday, but we did get some information off Cattle Market Central. Looked like they had at least 7,000 head of calves there, and talked to some guys there, and they had enough local demand for those program calves. All the calves, or pretty much all the calves, you'd be kind of like a mule and a horse show if you brought any just a regular old ballers in there this week, because they had a lot of program calves in there, different network programs that are supported there in Oklahoma. All of them pretty much having a full health program, long time weaned, and the right kind of calves. Well, that's fortunate, because that's exactly what the guys that are still wanting to turn wheat cattle out want. They need cattle that can turn right out on wheat. There's no place to put those cattle up and shut them up and straighten them up for another 30, 45 days. That wheat is burning daylight out there. We got to get out there, and it's ranked. They need to get it grazed down, and there's no time to waste. So they need calves that they can turn right out. Well, those long time wean, and by long time I mean 60 days, not 30 or 45, but 60-day wean calves with a full regiment, 2-round health program on them. Those would be strong enough to just turn right out, and that's what they needed. So that was a good balance of supply and demand there at OKC West. And it kept if you look at the Cattle Market Central market report there, you look at the changes on the weighted average from last week, and if you remember last week, the calf market was sharply higher. And so they were able to hold those gains for the most part on the steer calves, the lightweight steer calves. Don't pay too much attention to the heavier weights, because they weren't tested all that great, and it was a calf special. Now your heifer calves, there just hasn't been a lot of love for heifer calves this fall at all, and they were down again, and on the best tested weight groups, fully $3 lower there. But you still look there, and pretty impressive quotes on a big heavy supply of calves there at OKC West. Look at some other sales there. Winter Livestock in La Junta, Colorado, they had a heck of a sale, 6,000 to 7,000 head there, and it's the highest calf quotes that I saw anywhere early in the week this week. And because they've just got a lot of demand over there on that western side. That storm blew through. Those guys want to get turned out on their wheat too, but you would have thought it was one of their stock show specials, and those won't happen for another month. But the winter livestock, 6,000 to 7,000 head there. Steer calves were $4 to $5 lower. Heifer calves $2 to $3 higher. But look at some of these quotes on big strings, load lots in some cases of light calves. 62 head of 552-pound steer calves at $170. That's as good as we see anywhere, guys. I know you may be still thinking $2 on a 5-weight calf. They won't do it. They won't do $170 hardly anywhere, but they did at Winter Livestock in La Junta, Colorado. 89 head of lighter steer calves weighed 458 at $192. Now that's smoking high there for those calves. Don't forget, Joplin Regional Stockyards has got a big wean back special coming up this Thursday. It'll be the same kind of deal as OKC West had. Be all program cattle there, long time weaned, and a good health program on them. And if you need some calves up in the 4-state area, or if you want to call in an order, they'll have a lot of them in Joplin on Thursday. Phillips, South Dakota, had a lot of calves on there. 4,000 head, not exactly Philip the Giant this week, not like it was a few weeks ago, but they still have a dang good sales up there in Philip, South Dakota. Looked at their report there, and on those 6-weight calves, that's where they had lots of them, but they had the highest quote on 6-weight calves anywhere in the country. 1,335 head of 6-weight steer calves, average 656 at 158.53 on the average, guys. That's all of them. And then an individual quote on some peewee calves, the highest one I saw anywhere. Riverton, Wyoming, 68 head of 422-pound peewee steer calves, $199.50. That's your feeder flash for Wednesday.